Good evening. How's everyone?
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. All right.
We have our
Roll call, please.
Mr. DePaul,
here.
Mr. Noodle,
We
Mr.
got
Nico, Mr. James, Mr. Nixon,
here.
Mr. Moore,
How are you?
and Ms. Brooks.
Here. For the record, Lee's still in the nursing home.
I was talking to, I was talking to his daughter today, and he's getting close to being able to come home.
He has so many days from Medicare that.
Yes. So he's still having a problem with his blood pressure.
Mr. Donnelly is ill. Christie is ill. And Paul James is working. Approval of December checks 13991 through 14052 from the general fund. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it so we can go into discussion.
A motion by Mr. Nixon, second by Mr. DePaul. Discussion.
I have a couple of questions. This 13991 Wayne Deemer, I'm not familiar with some of these names.
He's worked for the borough for 13 years in the wintertime
Yeah,
as a plow person.
I thought that was him, but I wasn't sure. And the same way with 14024 is Theodore.
He's been our health inspector for about, 30 years.
I know, this name just doesn't ring a bell.
They only get paid like us once a year.
Okay. And the 13994 to 13996, I guess the engineers are working on a grant for what?
That was a grant that we did, that we got from the county. They had to inspect the corners.
Oh, okay. And 1404, I guess there was an audit?
There still is an audit. That's partial payment.
Okay.
They had to wait till November and December was completed in order to inspect those months. They do it in January every year.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And checks number 1908 from the sewer fund. A motion to approve that one?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Nixon, second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of checks and deposits as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is that you again?
Yeah.
A motion by Mr. DePaul, second by Mr. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of minutes from the month of December 8th and 22nd, exactly.
You want to take them one at a time?
No, let's take them together.
All right.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Nixon.
I'll second it so it goes into discussion.
We kind of get that, at least I do. A motion and a second by Mr. DePaul. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Page 2, December the 8th. The paragraph starts out, a small discussion about 2015 occurred. On motion by Mr. Novelini and seconded by Mr. DePaul, the council agreed to advertise the budget as is.
That was supposed to be published.
I mean, who's typing up these minutes? Do we have the recorder working now or not?
It was an error, Dan.
But
That's
not
why you review them.
Pardon?
It was an error. That's why you review them. Are you perfect? Do you make absolutely no mistakes
I
ever?
didn't say that, I'm not finished.
You could have been confused, so Paul and D-Paul. I don't know.
Paul wasn't here at December 8th.
I don't know.
We'll go back through the notes and check it. And,
Well, so you don't get excited, that could be an honest mistake,
That's right.
I realize that.
okay.
But a small discussion after I brought up about the carryover money that's not shown, about CDs, about,
Dan,
2.2 mil
unless
increase.
you're gonna pay for a stenographer to come to the meetings and take
Well,
exact notes.
we're not giving the people of this borough honest minutes when you put a small discussion. In the same way with December 8th, 22nd. It says Mr. Dees here, had various comments on the budget. I watched his video. He asked some questions that should be reported on minutes. That's what minutes are about.
They're not a stenographic record of the meeting.
Well,
Again, unless you're gonna pay a stenographer to come in and do our minutes, some municipalities do that.
well, this municipality never done it. We had Iran, we had Foster, even Jeff put minutes that went on and babbled about it. We had to tell him to tone it down a little bit.
Foster never printed a minute in his life, he never organized them.
I'm not saying he did, I said under him.
So there was people that always did it. And again, we've had, how many times have we retrained staffs here? This is a fairly new staff again.
Listen to the tape recorder.
I'm just saying, they're not excuses. We've gone through more staff than any municipality our size in the whole state of Pennsylvania.
Well, let me back up then. December 8th, a small discussion. You charged people 2.2 a tax mill increase for the police purpose. Now, if you're not going to use it for police purpose, the 2.2 should go back to the people.
Dan, we voted on the budget already and it was approved.
Well, that could be okay, but you got state code under 1302. If you raise taxes for a specific reason, and you don't use it for that reason, it goes back to the public. And I've never approved minutes that says a small discussion. Even December 22nd, it says that the mayor read a newspaper article, which he, tried to raise money for a resident in the borough that was having a problem. It doesn't mention anything. He wants to know what the carryover money is. That's not on here. Everything about the budget is a big secret here.
It was a big problem when I was doing the minutes. Everybody had a problem with it, including you.
I have a
So now we have a staff member doing the minutes and you're like a critic. Every time you come here, you're not here.
I'm reading
No,
what
wait a
my
minute.
discussion is. You're
Now,
not
wait a
putting
minute.
everything
You're
in
asking
this.
questions. I'm giving you some input, some feedback.
Okay,
You're not here.
You can.
You are here one day a month. You come down here like a Monday night warrior and we don't see you all month. We don't see you. We don't hear from you. We have
It's not my
committee meetings.
business to be
We
here.
have nothing.
Well, what are you sitting
Well,
there?
why are you here then?
It's my business here to
wait.
take notes at
No,
meetings and
no.
pass
That's not how it works,
budgets,
Dan.
discuss budgets, and let the people in the borough what's going on. And another thing, how comes I wasn't hooked to the telephone when I called here, made arrangements in the morning?
You
to
called
be here?
me. Did you call me?
Why did I call you?
here
I
that
called the
day.
office. Who are you?
We have an office policy, Dan. They don't have
The
separate
office
bosses.
policy is that I called here and made arrangements to be
No,
on.
that's
But
not
I
how policy right
I
now.
don't have to make a policy, print up of that.
That was a council approved
When I wanted to do something, be on the phone, like Tim Jones was on the phone several times to vote for the president of council, he's hooked up to the telephone. When I call here and leave a message to the office, I want to be hooked up to the phone, I get the same privilege as he does.
Well, that's absolutely true, you should have.
That's true. And it didn't happen. And I called up Mr. Nixon here to remind Kelly before 7 o'clock to hook me up to the telephone. It still wasn't hooked up.
No, that was never said about hooking you up to the phone. He said that you would be absent, that's all he said.
He said?
That's
No,
all.
I even asked that when I come through the door, did Dan call today about being hooked up for the meeting?
To
I
make-
wasn't down here that
To
day.
make it
I'm not here on
official,
Mondays.
Ron, you know better. To make it official, you have to present it to council, just like anything else.
You knew you were going away, you just didn't leave like that day.
It was an emergency. I explained it to the office. I explained it to the gentleman sitting there by the
The
tape
office
recorder. He
doesn't
said he
set up
could.
the thing.
I don't need this problem. If I want to be hooked up to the telephone and I call down here, I don't have to do everything just because you're not here.
You could-
That's why we need a borough
You
manager.
have my phone number. It says, all council members
All
must
business,
obey
I don't
their
want to know what it
requests.
says. I know what it says in the borough code book too. It says that you're not supposed to be treasurer, act as treasurer.
I'm not a
You're not
treasurer.
supposed to
I
act,
don't even deal with
act
that.
as borough manager or be borough manager. And another
I'm
thing.
not. I'm the only one that's down here training people.
Well, then you
Where the
should-
hell have you been?
You should have
We
had a
come down
borough
here
manager a long
one
time
night.
ago.
No, that's not how it
And-
works.
and
Because
also-
who's going to train the borough manager? Unless you're going to pay $90,000 for somebody to come down here that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, $90,000.
Somebody's going to have to train them.
How much do we pay Moran? How much do we pay?
Oh, and they all did splendid. The only person who did good was Baran. And what did he tell you, Dan? He told you to go to hell, shit in your hat, and he went to Wilson.
That's
Did he?
exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
He wanted to move up.
No, he didn't want to have anything to do with you guys. He left in the
Oh.
middle of the meeting, and the next day he was at Wilson Borough working. And that is what his legacy
That was
is.
a fact, because he came to me first.
We never had minutes like this before. I don't care what.
Well, that might be true.
It is true. A
And
small discussion.
Since-
You're hiding
What
things
year
from
were
the
you,
public.
what year were you on council?
You know, we're not hiding shit from the public. Everything out is
Right.
posted on that bulletin board.
Yeah,
so
you
if
can post
any
that.
person
You
wants
can
to
post
see
that.
anything, everything is out there.
You can post that, but it doesn't have any remarks from the mayor. It doesn't
If
have my remarks.
anybody is
And it
curious,
doesn't have remarks from Mr.
if
Nixon.
it affected their quality of life, they would be down
You're
here
just
complaining about it.
candy coding the minutes.
This is why we don't get any
Everybody
plans
knows
as far
that
as
candy coding
because
the
it's
minutes.
underlying argument all the time.
Well, look up 1302 in your borough code.
Well, how about the reopening of the budget and realigning the monies in that budget? And then, and if you read into that, that will roll over into the next year's budget. And because that's why the budget was open.
Yeah, well, what was the rollover?
That's, it was what it was. We spread that money out over the whole budget.
I was
You can't spend budget, you can't spend a 2.2 mil increase if
We
you
did spend-
specifically used it for police
You
protection.
have a solicitor who said it was fine, and you're not a
Well,
lawyer.
then the solicitor doesn't know what they're talking about, because here it is, black and white, borough code. The money, you can't spend the money on anything else.
Well, how come you're just coming up with this now?
Because I brought it up December the 8th,
Well, that budget started in.
and it's not in the minutes.
Here's the point, and here's the point I'm gonna make, Dan. To Ron, to Dan, to Mr. Moore. I've been a part of the budget for, no, wait, no, before you go off your chair and lose your mind. I've been a part of the budget all these years.
Right.
And it was always, by October, the full council was inputting what they needed from their committees. Not once this year, not once last year, did anybody in this council chamber give the heads up to
Carl and Mary.
Carl Hans and Marion. They struggled with it, and they struggled with it. This year, we have a new councilman, not one person with all the experience that you have, sitting there and shooting your mouth off about something that you didn't come down and offer any help for him. And it was brought up in one of the council meetings, there was only 2 people because of sickness and health issues. Not one person said, well, I'm going to give up my time to come down here listen, as mayor, I participated since 1990 in the budget up until last year because they said they could handle it. My input was what it was from the police and what it was going to cost us at that point in time. When it happened, it blew up in our face. That extra money, yes, it's there. But when they opened the budget, they had to open the budget. If we'd left it that way, you have a right to say, roll that money over into the next year budget. But it was approved by council by unanimous vote.
No, I voted against it.
By unanimous vote, whoever was here that night, by unanimous, I mean 4-1 or 3-2, whatever it was.
Majority.
Majority. Okay, I used the wrong word. You're good at critiquing, but you have to understand one thing, and this was going to be part of my presentation tonight. It's a 7-man council. It's a 7-man participation. Ms. Gross, and you're going to say, well, he's defending his daughter. I'm not defending my daughter at all, because I did say that at the last meeting. I'd like to know the startup, and the startup is usually 3 months every year to have at least that kind of money on hand to start paying our bills. Till our tax money comes in March and April. And with a 30% late fees being paid, sometimes we don't, as you brought up in one of the meetings, there was what, $84,000 at uncollectibles, or it wasn't open. That's why that first of the year is important, and I agree with that. If there's 3 months, we usually figure $10,000 to $12,000 a month to get us through till March. Okay? Take that $36,000 off your 2 mills, and what do you got left? About $8,000? Come on. You know what? You're stirring the pot, and what I'm saying here tonight, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. All I'm saying is it's a 7-man council. If you're not going to participate as a councilman, then get the hell out, every one of us. Because the council people are the ones that are cheating the people. Because, no, the council people are supposed to be doing a job here. And once a month, everybody comes. Once a month, there's turnover or something that they could have full control of if they participate more than once a month. If you walk in here with a grudge on your shoulder at the first of the month and you didn't investigate it for any other reason and then fix somebody's brain in here and try to embarrass them, embarrass somebody in this council chamber, a new man here, about the minutes and everything, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Well, I was here at the meeting. These minutes are what happened at the meeting.
I understand that, and I'm agreeing with you.
Well,
But
let me make one thing
We
clear.
have everything recorded from the point of...
Yeah, the whole discussion that took place, it's not in here. It's not in here. It's not in here. When we started 2014, I wasn't on council in 2013. So when you started 2014, you had a rollover of $779,000 between the general budget, the sewer account, the highway, account. You had an audit, and you had a beginning. 2014 was $779,000. What do you think the start over is going to be from 2014 to 2015? And nobody knows. All you got to do is go up to Lafayette Bank and say, "What's the account? What's in the accounts?"
Well, why
And then
now you're telling us
I'm not on the finance committee. You're the mayor.
You're
You
a councilman. No.
I asked that question. What in
No, you
December?
told me one
In
time,
December,
you told
what
me-
was the rollover for this last year to this year?
Dan.
You can't tell me the bank's not sending us information. Come on.
Dan, you know better than that with me. I've always been there for the, and I just explained myself. I haven't been the past 2 years because they went to handle, because you know why? I was told this is a strong council and not a mayor's council. Your responsibility as mayor is public safety and the police force.
The responsibility, everyone that
And
got
my
elected,
input was there.
everybody that got elected, and strong council is supposed to ask questions. I'm asking questions. Because I was on the budget, I approved budgets for years.
Well then.
And every year we know what the rollover is, all we have to do is get the bank accounts from the bank.
Well, I think this is a good idea that you're promoting that, and we should realign committee for finance and put you in on as chairman.
And what's the value of the CD for the sewer account? Nobody knows? Somebody knows, but
You know.
the rest of us council don't
You know,
know.
I just reviewed the academy budget. Ask for a copy of some of the townships, or towns the same size as ours, and you'll get a surprise. If it's backed up by tape, you can come down and listen to the tape.
Well, you're gonna find out what we have in the bank account when the audit comes out, because the audit gets sent to Harrisburg.
That's
And
fine.
anybody can go into Harrisburg's website and print out the audit for West Easton, Wilson Borough, Palmer Township,
That's right.
anywhere you want to.
That's right, and there's
So I don't know what the big secret is, why can't we have a rollover?
Well, it's not a secret.
Well, we did a budget without any rollover from last year.
The finance chairman hasn't been here for numerous meetings because
This
he's
is our
gotten
problem.
a new job and he's working midnight.
Our
shift.
absentee council situation is drastic in running this borough.
But you know what,
It's
tonight,
unfortunate.
you're acting no different
I'm
than you're acting no different than when you used to be a public and sit in the front row and every single council meeting, because I was young when I started. Every single council meeting, you would leap out of that chair when it was public to be heard. Look at you laughing because you know it's true. And you would go, I'm the taxpayer! And you would act like you just did right
Yeah,
now.
well, I was testing council meetings in 1980, and you weren't interested at all, so
I was still in high
sitting in the chair.
school,
so
buddy,
I was
but I was
sitting in
on
the chair.
council
I was sitting
before
in the
you.
chair up at the Borough Town Hall up here too, at the fire company.
Yeah, and I used to
So
sit
okay,
back
I'm
at
not
Mary's
interested.
desk. So
Well,
don't
good for
tell
you.
me.
Well, where's the rollover money then? You get the bank statements.
So, is there any other issues you would like to discuss about the December 8th minutes?
Yeah, they're not complete.
Okay, we got that point. Or would you like to move on? Would you like to have
Yeah,
any
well,
other
they're corrected,
comment?
they should be corrected.
It will be corrected.
No.
That's how it works. You bring it up. You don't have to carry on like a lunatic.
I'm not, I'm being
No,
very
you're
sensible.
not.
I'm
No,
asking
you're
questions.
sensible. Oh,
You're,
yeah.
you're all defensive.
I'm not
It
defensive.
sounds like the
I
way.
know I put in 1,000,000 hours down here
You're
for
not
free.
supposed to put in 1,000,000 hours, don't
Well,
you
then
need
you
to
get your ass down here and train people. I'm a little sick of you. Ever since you've been hanging out with you know who, you're acting like a
I
lunatic.
don't hang out with anybody,
Bullshit.
you know it.
She just about leaped
All
over the
defensive,
table
all
at the last
defensive, you're all
meeting. Give me a
defensive,
break.
all defensive.
All in favor with the corrections to approve December 8th and December 27th or 22nd minutes?
With the approvals. I mean,
That's what I just said. That's the motion. Yay or nay?
nay.
So you're not approving them with the corrections? Okay, then they're approved as is.
No, they're not.
The motion was to approve the minutes with the stated corrections.
Stated corrections, then I vote yes.
Well, then maybe you should listen a little bit instead of shooting your mouth off. Okay, Ron,
Yay.
Mr. Moore, all in favor?
Can I ask one more question? How do we have a treasury report again?
Public comment? Anybody from the public that would like to speak? No?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
All right, we were talking, I thought about it.
Yeah,
Leon Stahl, 306 Second Street.
just so we figure it out.
I'm starting a manager out of $60,000. And we were paying Jeff Stottlemyre 28,000.
You know, that's around 34.
All right. Now, I mean, to me, this little borough here,
That was in
To be paying.
2006 though. It's 2015.
all right, Tommy Nolan was talking about inflation. What about the taxpayers? Don't we get hit with inflation?
We get $50,000 from the treatment center. That would cover most of it. That's what we're thinking.
If we didn't have that, it would be worse.
Yeah, but I thought they're gonna move out.
It all depends. Abe has a 10-year lease.
Well, see, we're spending,
Abe
Yeah,
has a
he-
10-year lease. He has a 5-year lease with an automatic renewal, and I don't think he's going to take it lightly to lose all that money he gets every
We're gonna
month.
end up with
I
a-
think they'll be in. I think
a
they'll
drug
be in
center.
court. I think they'll be in court. It's not going to be
But
any kind of
here we're
settlement.
spending money that we're sure we don't have.
Well, then we raise taxes. You can look at
There
it.
you go, now you're gonna raise taxes.
We don't have to raise
Let me
taxes.
qualify that statement you just made. We got 50,000 thereabouts, okay? If we don't get that, and to cover whatever budget you have, it's gonna be looking at a tax increase because you don't have that 50,000. That's 2.5 mils, approximately 2 mils. So if you don't have that 50,000, it has to come from somewhere. And it's not, we have no industry in this town to cover anything. Our tax base is level all the time.
Then why would
And our expenses goes
why
up.
would we spend $60,000, if I'm not mistaken, possible benefits? So you add another 10, 15,000?
That's Tommy talking.
All right, yeah, but,
And
you know, you people
That's
vote
one
on it here.
person, and the personnel committee hasn't met on it.
Well, we're spending money that we don't
But
have.
you're
so-
talking about things that were just spoken by a council member, not the entire council. One council member does not mean that all of us are gonna agree with it, as you just witnessed. So, I don't know, that's not like right on the table at the moment. We have other voids that we're filling right now.
Leon, there's a lot of factors. You know, you need a part-time manager, if you have a part-time manager, you got Obamacare, you don't have to pay health benefits. I mean, you hear some things here that are way over everybody's head.
Dan, I just
You
said
realize
that. We
Well,
understand
Just
that.
so
that's
you
what you
people
said.
realize it, because we as taxpayer is gonna be paying this for the rest of our life and,
Yeah.
you know, and whatever.
I don't, you know, it's a little frustrating. You get something that the DA was here that promoted this thing. The county executive was here and talked to it and how they wanted this thing. There was a lot of scrutiny given to it. We fought off the drug situation where they wanted to house drug people there. It would have been a lot bigger, a lot more money, and we fought that off. It wasn't just a fly-by-night, it took a couple of years to get to that point.
But do you
In
think,
those couple of years, I think my last report, mayor's report, because nobody read it on the council anyway, so it didn't mean anything, but I asked for a borough manager right after the one from Zettelmeyer. In my report, 3 years in a row, I asked for hiring a borough manager. On death years from the council. I blame it, I blame it on the council. You can't just do it with one person. And I'm frustrated as hell because this is a very simple town to run. And with all the turmoil and underneath bullshit and behind the door talks, it's just hurting the town. And it hurts me because I know what I put into this town for 50 years. And it's unfortunate that we have this type of an attitude, but the participation to me, of council is so important. And we don't have it. I brought that up that night the newspaper man was here. And Louis Neal apologized to me later. He wasn't sure what I was talking about. All I was saying is, the same thing I'm saying now, is it takes 7 people to run this town. You could actually do it with 3. And that, according to the borough code, you could have 3, 5, or 7. And we have 7, right now we have too many. Because the participation of the council people is not to the level that, Dan, we'd never built this borough hall if we had had this kind of bullshit. And we paid that borough hall in less than a 10-year mortgage.
That's what I'm saying, but things aren't the same as years ago, Jerry.
And
Nobody
you know
knows
why?
what's going on.
Look at the pictures. That's right, exactly. Every one of those councilmen had their nose here at every meeting. They were down in the borough office. They picked up their minutes every month. They were in the file down there. You know what is embarrassing to me? To have a couple of people that, thank God, that's all we get, participation, so there must be some good going on in this town that doesn't upset a lot of people. But what upsets me, when I walk in that front door and I see the folders laying there to pick up the minutes. The only time the people know that what's going on is when they open up and sit their chair at the council meeting 10 minutes before the council meeting. And we're doing our job, and that sort of tells me that you don't give a good darn about what you're doing. That's the councilman's responsibility, to review the minutes. He's doing his job, he's doing it in a period of time that the scrutiny should be done by all 7 councilmen when they're here. And we had a lot of interaction, council questioning minutes, what the budget, everything. We're in a position right now. You made a motion, but nobody ever made a motion to hire a borough manager and advertise it. That's a council motion before we can advertise it. The only thing, and there was a lot of banter going back and forth, but nobody ever said, Chair, we want to hire a borough manager and advertise it in the local paper. Never heard that motion. It was never made.
Jeremy, from a couple, 4 or 5 years ago, there was applications coming into this borough for the borough manager position. Whatever happened to them, I don't know.
Well, I know what happened to some of them. There was 2 of them that was 70,000 plus.
One was 69,000, and one was 72,000 with pension and benefits. And
No.
I don't think that anybody was gonna
And that's-
consider.
I know there's someone
money.
out there, someone that, an older gentleman, or a young lady, or an older lady that would do a part-time job, that we're not talking anywhere near 60,000.
That's right, I agree. But you have to advertise before you know it, and those applications we got were back when. They're not, there's people, that one guy
Donna
was
was live
one guy
back
was
when we got
60
applications.
65 years old, the one fella, he was a borough official from up the line. He retired with his family here in the Easton area. He thought he'd have another chance to work another 5 years. But, 69,000 plus.
The other one was a retired administrator from the Northampton County.
But that's kind of motion,
College.
yeah, to offset some of this stuff, it's going to either take a lot of input from the council. You sit here and listen, and, I'm giving my mayor's report right now. You sit here and listen to committee reports. Sit. Meeting to meeting, you never have a committee report. So who's not doing their job? You can throw stones at anybody you want. You sat in that chair, Louis sat in that chair, I sat in that chair for 19 years, and had a lot of help and input, and you did too.
And I always knew what the rollover was from year to year, so we could do a proper
That's right.
budget. A proper budget can't be done.
And I have I'm not even arguing that point.
Well,
We'll have that number.
Is he the only one on the committee?
Who?
He's not on the committee.
Pardon?
He's not on the committee.
The one that does the treasurer.
Paul James was on it, Tommy Longley and Brendan Moore.
And Werner was just put on it.
Yeah.
He just got on council.
Shouldn't Tommy Nottolene know? I mean, if it's, you got a committee.
Well, I agree.
There's 3 guys
I
working
agree.
together.
And that's why I wasn't arguing the point. I was, every year we always had a number. And like I said, it was always a 3-month pad to get us through till the tax dollars come in. So that's,
I understand.
And I think, in retrospect, I think we have to look at the strengths of council people and putting them where they gotta be. And Dan seems to have a lot of input when it comes to what he knows because of being a previous council person over the years. And it would help the council tremendously to have something like that.
Yeah, but who wants to get screamed at all the time?
That's
That's all
not,
he does, he comes here and screams.
well,
If you have some
you
air,
did such a
if
bad
you
job.
have any, I'm just, you don't let anybody speak,
No,
so
I'm
you have to
saying, you
speak.
don't do
You
that.
always have to have your input, you
That's
don't
what I
ever
want.
shut up.
Well, so, neither do you. What are you talking about?
all right, let's
I'm
move on.
running the meeting.
Oh, I
and
know you are.
Let's
I'm
move
not.
on. Let's move on.
Thanks, Leon. Committee reports.
Mayor report? Yes.
You just said you were giving yours right
That
now.
was the little bit on the side. I was just trying to answer some of these
This
questions.
is warming them up.
Yeah, what I was trying to do is, and I wish I could have a full council here so they could get my feelings on this, because I've been around too long, and I'm really frustrated because of the inactivity in a lot of different areas, not just budget, everything we do. We're not proactive in a lot of different areas, but I'm done with that. Emergency management. I had some discussions with the power outage, short power outage we had, and I talked to the chief, and I was trying to, there's a whole emergency management book that has to be updated, and I'm going to update it. But I talked to Chief McGarry, and there's places where we gotta, if we have a natural disaster, let's say where we lose all our power in this town, and it's in the middle of winter. And I said to Bill, I says, do we have a place to get together if the power's out in this town? He says, we have a congregation point, but he says, we don't have emergency generators to have lights, or the Borough Hall doesn't even have an emergency generator. So if we went out and bring people in, keep them warm, and take care of them until something can be fixed, it would be a shot in the dark where we'd have to go with them. So what I'm saying is, there's some more money that has to be spent in this town for this building, and maybe the support of the fire building to help them with the emergency generators. The generator, that's a real full house generator. It's not one of these you just plug in the same we're here. And if there's and my job in emergency management is to make sure that the residents of the town are protected, and also being able to be taken care of in a natural disaster. And you can say it never happened, but you look around us anymore, it seems like there's more natural disasters than anything else going on. So I'm presenting this to council, to the right people to look into it and see if we can come up with something to do this, especially in this building, so we can run this borough if there is a natural disaster, and for any other new mayor coming along or any new council people, that we're equipped to handle an emergency. Fortunate for us, our emergencies over the years have been the river. But the last, when we had that storm in October, it was, it brought light on a lot of our shortfalls, and that's one of them that we don't have in this town. The congregation point was the firehouse area and the ballroom up there. But Bill said they have to get an emergency generator, and right now they're working on hard times too. So that's the food for thought. If somebody wants to pick it up, I'll keep pressing the issue so that maybe one of the committees can pick it up and take a look at it and see if we can move on that.
Public Safety Committee would be a good committee for that.
Yeah. So.
Could get a casino grant too.
Well,
Yeah.
no, if we can do that, that'd be a good one to have. And if we're going to pursue it that way,
You're on both committees, Dan, that's why I said it.
Dan, if that's the case, I think you're in charge of the committee for casino grants. Make sure, if you do approach it in a way that the Borough Hall is covered in, because they're both congregation areas in case of an emergency. So I want to see that, whatever way we can pursue it, let's try to do it, and maybe we can work something out through the budget and everything else. There's a lot of things that come up during the year too that we'd like to do, but we can't do it because we always watched our P's and Q's. We've never been in this position ever that I can remember since I've been on council, where we had an opportunity to do things we haven't been able to do for the last 10 years. And that was, we reopened the budget, we realigned the line items, and I'm saying we, the council, with maybe an objection or so. But if you don't want to improve things and move forward with improving some of the things in this borough, then we, you know, if you remember, it was a 2 mil increase or a 2 point something last year. And well, guess what? 1 mil was because of legal expenses. I wonder why. I was sued. Our borough clerk, who would be an excellent borough manager now, she was hired by Wilson Borough. She left town because of the threats. Her case was defended. That cost money. Our legal expenses went from normal $9,000 a year to about $23,000, $24,000. And no lawsuits were our fault. So you'd want to take that mill out of there and forget about our legal expenses. Maybe we could straighten out some people in this town that would stop pursuing the below-the-line attitudes that they have and costing of our taxpayers money. Maybe it would be a good idea to look in that direction before we start ripping apart some people that has given a lot of time to this town. Whether it says in the borough book that the president's not supposed to do it, somebody has to do it. And I haven't seen anybody step up to the plate to get somebody in here to do it. That's my problem with the whole thing. And I've been asking for it over a long period of time. But again, the president of the council can't automatically just go out and hire a person. It's a council situation, and that's been going on for 3-4 years now.
When Donna passed away,
That's when it started.
I felt obligated as the president of council, as the one that made sure everything's organized and people get paid. As a matter of fact, it was payroll week, the day she died, that next week. And I felt responsible to not let anybody down, including the residents, that we paid our bills, that we kept things rolling, that the garbage was picked up like normal, that the things that were happening, and that's how I got involved.
Well, then you should advertise for, put an advertisement for a part-time manager.
With Dan DePaul training them.
Somebody has to train.
Well, if you advertise for a manager, like, aren't they gonna have like, I
You
know,
don't-
it's gonna be tough to get forever money,
No,
but aren't they gonna have some kind of knowledge in the manager background that there's, I don't have to be trained all the time?
Unless they have municipal government background, they could be a manager.
But can we advertise and hopefully we get
Well,
some
if you
applications
get-
that have that?
If you
Yeah,
get
well,
that,
that's what
you're
we're
gonna
asking.
pay
We gotta at
more.
least try.
That's what
But
I
if
just
you get
said.
that, you're gonna pay
Nobody
more.
said
But
never.
even if
That's
it's
the point.
part-time, whatever, like, yes, you're gonna pay for whatever, but, I mean, we need it.
Well, that's the motion that we should
That's-
make.
Yes, we gotta at least make the attempt to see what kind of applications we get. I second that motion, unless we gotta do it during new business, I mean, let's get it done.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, just get it done, just.
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
you got a motion on the floor? I'll second it.
No, you need to make an
I
official
do a
motion.
motion.
but it-
I'll make a motion to hire a borough manager, at least to advertise, part-time, full-time, however, you know what I mean? So we look over some applications, try to get things moving here with a manager.
That's good.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Progress.
I'd also like to make a motion for a treasurer, because I don't see it. We hired a treasurer, there's no money in payroll. Did this guy quit? Is he still around?
His wife got very ill, and he's with her right now.
That's life, you know?
Stuff happens. All right, Mayor, are you complete? Do you have more to say?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Jerry, I didn't do the manager thing.
No, that's all right, that's fine. It has to be done, and I have no problem with that. The thing is, you know, you heard my, whatever it was, my points that I think needs to be corrected, and it has to start with the council. And it's not an easy job. You know, in the beginning, just to verify what was said here, when Donna passed away, because Donna and the other clerk were so good friends, she left. So there was nobody in the office. Now, during that period of time, correspondence was sent out to the councilmen to come down to the Borough Hall for a period of time to help Kelly. And I think Louis was about the only one.
Louis and Tommy.
Louis and Tommy are about the only two that came down there with no real knowledge of what the hell to do.
And pretty much they kept me company, they didn't really.
But, and then when we got
Kept me good company.
When we got a new staff in here, they were retained, they were trained by Kelly, and the gal that got the job in Wilson Borough, she would have stayed, but she was tired of the baloney that was going on, and threats that were made to her directly, and we lost her. And she was an excellent person, excellent. And she was trained by Kelly. And here we go again, now we got a new staff, which is learning, and Kelly's still here. And the motion tonight maybe will change that in some way. I don't know. But we have to get resumes in to review and have a real interview situation where you have council people, personnel committee to interview that person and have some knowledge of management.
And you.
That's all. Yeah, I'm always a part of committees, and that's what frustrates me too, not knowing what the hell is really going on. I always came to the committee meetings. There is no committee meetings for me to come, so I can't even suggest or try to help committees to move forward with a lot of different things. There's no meetings. That's the way we always ran this town over the years, and I think it's hard blood of council to have that type of thing going on. And I think Dan was always the guy that said how these projects on the shelf to get them done. Well, if there's no projects on the shelf, they're not going to get done because nobody's putting them up there. And again, Kelly's gotten 2 grants for almost $300,000, $280,000 to do these curb cuts. I mean, that's something that other councilmen could do too, and with a lot of other different issues. It's not up to her, unless she's told about going out and